Primocane fruiting raspberries, also known as fall fruiting raspberries, provide a unique opportunity to produce two crops. Double cropping, as it is known, is especially advantageous under high tunnels because overall yields and profit potential can be increased. In this video, we will describe the growth cycle of Primocane fruiting raspberries and suggestions for how to double crop varieties in a high tunnel environment in central Michigan, a relatively short season location. Primocane fruiting raspberries produce a crop of fruit on the tips of the current year's canes, which are referred to as primocanes. As the fall progresses, berries will begin forming a little lower on the canes, so that by the end of fall, fruit has been produced on the top 20 to 30% of the height. In central Michigan, under a high tunnel, primocane harvest generally begins in August and continues through October, depending on the variety. Standalone tunnels that are well sealed to retain heat may allow fruiting from early August into early November. The standard management practice for primocane fruiting raspberries is to remove all of the old primocanes by mowing or clipping, usually in late winter or early spring. During the next growing season, plants will produce a new stand of primocanes for harvest in late summer and fall. Double cropping is different from standard practice because instead of harvesting fruit only from the primocanes, floricanes are also harvested. To achieve this, instead of removing all the primocanes after they have fruited, some are retained for a second growing season. These primocanes overwinter and become floricanes the second season. During this second season, the ends of the canes that produced fruit the previous fall have died and are clipped off, while flowers and fruit eventually form on branches lower on the cane for a summer crop, as seen here. At the same time, new primocanes grow up from the roots and form flower buds for a fall crop. Floricane fruit ripen in late June to mid-July in central Michigan under a high tunnel. Once the floricanes are done fruiting, they are selectively removed, leaving the current season primocanes, which have been growing from the roots since spring. These primocanes will produce a second crop in August to October. During the winter or early spring, some of these primocanes will be pruned out and some will be retained for floricane production the following year. Here we see the floricanes producing a summer crop, with the new primocanes growing up in the middle of the row. At this time, flower buds on the tips of the primocanes are very small, if visible at all, but will become more obvious as the summer progresses. The yield potential of the floricane crop depends on the number of floricanes retained, among other factors like irrigation and fertilization practices and plant health. The ideal number of floricanes to retain is probably between 2 and 4 per linear foot of row. More canes can be retained if the rows are wider. The best canes to retain are tall and healthy. These should be shortened in the spring by removing the dead portions at the top that produced fruit the previous fall. We have found that floricane yields can approach primocane yields, so double cropping can be expected to increase total yields by at least 50%. Potential benefits of double cropping include an extended marketing season and increased total yield as compared to harvesting from primocanes alone. Additionally, fruit produced on floricanes generally avoids spotted-winged Drosophila infestation, since populations of this pest tend to build after most floricane fruit are picked, at least in our region. One risk of double cropping is that floricanes may be injured by cold during severe winters. Floricanes also tend to accumulate some fungal diseases since they are in their second growing season. Some people have speculated that if floricane fruit are present, spotted-winged Drosophila populations may begin to build earlier because fruit are present earlier. And finally, there are additional costs associated with double cropping. Floricanes need to be thinned in the spring and removed after harvest, and more expensive trellis systems may be needed to position floricanes and primocanes. Double cropping with primocane fruiting raspberries under high tunnels in the upper Midwest and New England provides an opportunity to harvest fruit in the summer and again in the fall. To be profitable, consider the following. Select a primocane fruiting cultivar that produces primocane fruit early enough to yield well in your location. Varieties that produce tall primocanes are preferred since they retain more fruiting potential the next year as floricanes. Varieties also need to be hardy enough to overwinter canes. While high tunnel culture can provide temperature management opportunities, be aware of the optimum production window for your situation. Double cropping means an increase in labor inputs. Selective pruning is required when retaining primocanes for second-year production and also when removing spent floricanes. Thank you for watching this video on double cropping raspberries in high tunnels. For more information on berry production in both high and low tunnels, visit the Tunnelberries website or follow Tunnelberries on Facebook and Twitter.